Looking at polling over in the US, new polling shows that Donald Trump's immigration policies have surged in popularity. A new CBS News poll shows that 58% of people approve of the Trump administration's program to deport illegal immigrants in the United States. Now, Trump's overall job rating is split with the 50% approval rating, which is still pretty high, but let's take a look at the analysis.
This is a story about balance, and the things that are going well in the public mind for him is his handling of immigration, which is still net positive, and his deportation program is still net positive and popular.
That's a pretty strong result for someone that's, been in for a couple of months now. You'd expect that there was a honeymoon period when he first started, but that the numbers are still very strong for Donald Trump.
Yeah, look, I think it's funny there. Those anchors were reading out the results as if they were shocked. But I mean, I don't think it's surprising that people don't like illegal immigration. So, I mean, if anything, I thought 58% approval of his policy was too low, and it would be higher in reality. Who knows? We'll see other polls. But certainly during the Biden administration, something like 10 million people entered the US illegally. It's an extraordinary number. It's hard to fathom, actually.
Yes.
And quite understandably, huge pushback, and Trump is trying to rectify that. And it's very popular. That's not really a shock to me. The question is whether he'll be able to keep it up. It's very resource intensive to find people and then send them back to their own country, especially when you're talking numbers in the millions.
Look, you said earlier that we should have a bit of a doge system here in Australia. I think many people would agree with you. And you've written in The Australian that voters are sick of the spending splurge. You've written that voters are sick of the spending splurge, but our pollies don't listen. Now, you say, listening to the two major parties just a few days out from budget, you'd think that there's no significant consistency in this country for cutting government spending. And there should be, given the nation's increasingly dire fiscal outlook. And it turns out that around 4 times as many Australians would prefer the government to cut spending as opposed to increase taxes to fix the budget. And that's according to a survey by the Institute of Public Affairs. Look, what do you make of the numbers from that survey? What are you hearing from people? How many of us really want a doge?
Yeah, well, look, I think it was a pleasant surprise to us actually at the IPA that so many people, I think 57% said that we should cut spending rather than increase taxes to fix the budget. So there is a constituency out there for more frugality.
Yes.
But sadly, neither side of politics really wants to cater to that. It's seemingly much easier, much politically simpler to simply advocate for more spending or to have a small target strategy. But I mean, at some point, there'll have to be cuts because we can't keep increasing spending at the rate we are. I mean, it's gone up faster than in the Whitlam years in just the past 3 years. Not enough people know that.
And now the election campaign here in Australia is underway, and we're already seeing some comparisons to what played out in the United States last year. Anthony Albanese appears to have copied the economic centrepiece of the failed Kamala Harris campaign. Labor is promising to make supermarket price gouging illegal. This is what he had to say.
If you've ever felt ripped off at the supermarket, this one's for you. Labor will make supermarket price gouging illegal, so you're not paying more than you should. Taking advantage of people when there's not enough competition is just not on. Right now, there are no laws against excessive pricing, but we have your back and we're going to fix it, so you get a fair deal at the checkout.
Authorised by Anthony Albanese, LP Canberra.
Supermarket giants Coles and Woolworths have pushed back against this and noted that despite this inquiry, there's essentially no evidence of price gouging. What do you make of Anthony Albanese copying Kamala Harris?
Yeah, look, well, I spent last year in the US and I covered the US presidential election. And when he announced that, I thought, hang on, that's exactly the same as what Kamala Harris said. I actually went to the launch of that policy. And look, it didn't work. Obviously, she lost, but it's just part of a pattern of governments trying to blame the inflation that they caused on the private sector. That's exactly what's happening. And they choose supermarkets because Australians go to supermarkets, most days, many days. They're familiar with them. But the reality is the profit margins of supermarkets are very, very low, something like 2%. There's no evidence of any gouging. And even if there was evidence of gouging, the government, it's very, very hard to prove. And these sorts of laws can just make the situation even worse than it currently is. But anyway, it's a silly policy, and let's hope, not many people will fall for it.
Chief Economist at the IPA, Adam Creighton, thank you so much for your time. Great to talk to you.
Thanks, Gabriella.